haven't seen that much coverage specifically just about the new Apple Pencil first generation. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and open it up. We're going to see how it works, and then I'm going to rant about it a little bit. And it's not going to be that much new stuff that people haven't already said before, but I still want to give my take on why I think this is the worst part of the new iPad that was released. But let's go ahead and open it and actually see for ourselves. So the box, it looks very similar to the first generation Apple Pencil, but what's new is on the back you can actually see that they have added how to connect it to the new iPad. So it shows you how to do it because it does have the Lightning to USB-C adapter in the box so that you can use this with the new iPad. So they had to create this whole new packaging and this whole new SKU basically just so that they could add the adapter to this first generation Apple Pencil box, which makes you wonder why not just make the second generation Apple Pencil compatible with the new iPad, but we'll get to that in a second. So I'm just going to go ahead and rip this plastic off, which again is also really frustrating because why is there plastic on these boxes when there's not supposed to be plastic on boxes? And this is like the hardest plastic to get off of a box too, so this is just not a fun time. So this plastic is so hard to get off, I'm going to actually need to use a little knife here to just slit the plastic open. That was really unnecessarily tough to open. Now, despite my complaining about this new Apple Pencil, I have been enjoying the new iPad quite a bit actually, and I think it's a really good device that I think has been getting a little bit of unfair criticism, in my opinion. I think that people who are criticizing it are not the target demographic for it, but it's not without its faults, that's for sure. Okay, so once you take the plastic off, there's a little tab on the side here. You can pull that open, and then you are greeted with the Apple Pencil inside. You get your paperwork here, so you can lift that off. Inside you'll also get an extra tip, which you can see here, so you can replace the tip if it wears off. And then back here you can see you have two adapters. One is a Lightning adapter, so this is if you want to charge your Apple Pencil with Lightning. And then this is if you want to charge your Apple Pencil with USB-C. And so if you want to connect it to your iPad to charge, to your new iPad that is, you're going to have to use this new adapter which uses USB-C. So let's actually just go ahead and open that up first because that's really the new thing in here. The first generation Apple Pencil is just the first generation Apple Pencil. Nothing too exciting about that. So let's pull this open. There's a little tab on the back here that you can see, and you just kind of scratch this off and you pull it down and the adapter should fall out, and it falls out like that. So this is really bizarre. You can buy this separately too. This is $9, but what's really bizarre about it is that you need a cable to plug into this side, and then you need to plug in the Apple Pencil to the other side, and then you can charge your Apple Pencil to the iPad. Initially, when this was first announced, I thought this little adapter would plug into your iPad and then have a little opening, a Lightning opening for the Apple Pencil. And if this doesn't make any sense, you're not alone. It's very confusing, but let me just show you how this works. So I have the new iPad right here, and I'm actually, once we're done with this, I'm gonna test to see if it works on the other iPads, like the iPad Air and the iPad Pro. But this is the new 10th generation iPad, right? So it has a USB-C port in here. So now what I need to do is I need to go get a USB-C cable and plug it into this iPad. So let me go do that. Okay, I pulled out a USB-C cable from my supply closet. So stay with me now. So we have this USB-C cable which can plug into the iPad. So far, so good. Now I want to charge the Apple Pencil. So let's actually pull out the Apple Pencil here. It's wrapped up in this plastic as well. Very nice. Open that up. Great. So I want to connect this to the iPad. The only way you can connect the first generation Apple Pencil, which is the only Apple Pencil that works with this iPad, is by physically plugging it in. There's no other way to connect it. Okay, so I need to connect it, but I can't connect it because it has a USB-C cable. So what do? I use this adapter they just provided in the Apple Pencil box. So you can see here, this is the adapter, USB-C on one side, Lightning on the other. It's actually really hard to tell which is which just by looking at this. Because they're both reversible, but anyway, so that's another, that might be another thing, is you might be sticking it on both sides until you figure out which side is Lightning and which side is USB-C. Okay, so I figured it out. This is the USB-C side. So now I have this cable, which is connected to my iPad. The USB side is plugged into the USB side. Now the only side left is Lightning. So that means that now I can plug the Apple Pencil, which has a Lightning port on it, into the cable. And now it says that, like this, I can go ahead and use the Apple Pencil. Well, actually it hasn't even told me that yet. Let me see if this is actually connected. Okay, so it hasn't actually recognized the Apple Pencil yet. Let me unplug it and plug it in again and see. It still hasn't recognized the Apple Pencil. I don't know what's going wrong here. I'm doing everything that you're supposed to. Let me plug it in again and see. There, it finally showed up. Bluetooth pairing request. So on my third try, this is not a joke, I have never had this problem before, but on my third try, it finally asked if I would like to pair it. Yes, I would like to pair. Okay, now it's connected. So now you're like, great. This is charging. While it's charging, this is an advantage. What are you talking about? Before, if it was charging and plugged into the iPad, I couldn't use my Apple Pencil. But now that it has this wire, it's wired and connected in, I can use my Apple Pencil while it's charging. That is fantastic news. Turns out you can't. So when it's plugged in, you can't use the Apple Pencil. So it's just like before, where if it's plugged in to your iPad, you cannot use it at all. Even though there's a wire now and you should theoretically be able to use it, you can't. I don't know why. I don't know the engineering behind it. Maybe it's an issue with the charging and it's just not able to process the input and charge at the same time. Whatever. For some reason, you just can't use it. And it's not a huge deal, but that's just there's really zero advantage to this whatsoever. So whenever you want to use the Apple Pencil first generation with your new iPad, you have to carry this contraption with you, this ridiculousness, this craziness. You have to have this with you at all times, because if your Apple Pencil runs out of battery and you need to use it, you got to plug it into your iPad like this in order to charge it. And that is the genius design that Apple has come up with to solve the issue of having USB-C on their new iPad. So what is the reason for all of this madness? The reason that they've been reporting, or at least telling people or throwing out there, is that, look, you have had an iPad before. You had the base iPad before, the cheap iPad, right? The iPad 9th generation. That used the first generation Apple Pencil. So if you're going to be upgrading to this new iPad, we want you to be able to still use that Apple Pencil you have and not have to spend money on another Apple Pencil. Because if you're in a school or a business, that can cost a lot of money and that can add up to a much larger cost than just buying the new iPads. Obviously, that makes zero sense to any logical person listening to that, right? At first you're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But wait, you're going to make my whole experience worse? So you're going to punish me if I upgrade to your new tablet, instead of coming up with either a workaround or adding Apple Pencil 2 support to your tablet. And yeah, we're upgrading to a new device. At some point, right, this is not going to be using the first generation Apple Pencil forever. So at some point, they're going to have to change it to either Apple Pencil 2 or whatever the future Apple Pencil becomes. And there's always going to be this issue where when someone upgrades to a new device, things change, right? Ports change, things change. That's just the way things are. If it's convenient to still use the previous Apple Pencil, then that makes sense. Keep the previous Apple Pencil. But it's now, first of all, using Apple Pencil before was already an inconvenience, and now it's like a double inconvenience to use this silly Apple Pencil. There is really no logical way that I've heard of. I'm still open to listening to it, but there's no logical explanation I can think of or hear of for the consumer that would make this make any sense. Now, from Apple's perspective, this is probably way, way, way cheaper than implementing Apple Pencil 2 support. Maybe engineering-wise, since they moved the camera over here now, they can't have the charging for Apple Pencil 2 that you normally have. So maybe that was an issue as well. The Apple Pencil just fell off of this adapter when I picked this up, because this adapter is a terrible product, and none of this makes any sense. So yeah, also keep that in mind. If it's plugged into here, it can fall off, so just be careful. Basically, from Apple's perspective, I'm just assuming, and for most businesses, it basically comes down to cutting costs. And for some reason, just selling this $9 adapter, which probably cost them like 50 cents to make, if even, and just including it in the box, putting it in the new Apple Pencil box, and shipping it out, they felt would just be the way to keep the costs down the most while selling this new iPad. So that's what I'm assuming the reasoning is. But please, I'm telling you that if you are buying the new iPad, don't make yourself suffer through this. This is really crazy. You don't deserve this. No one deserves to be treated this poorly. If it's not that big of a deal to you, then, knock yourself out. I like, if you're okay with it and it makes you happy, then who am I to say not to buy this? But if you're like contemplating what you should do, I'm showing you how crazy this is. A lot of people have been showing the world how ridiculous this is. I love the new iPad, but I cannot, accept this as a reasonable or usable way to use the first generation Apple Pencil with this product. Which is a shame, because the first generation Apple Pencil I actually love. I think it's a really great stylus. I actually like the design and glossiness a little bit better than the second generation Apple Pencil. Yeah, it rolls off the table and it charges weird, but I really love this form factor and I miss it a lot when I use the second generation Apple Pencil. So I would be completely fine if I had to use this with the new iPad, but not like this. This is absolute madness, and it's just, the power of a brand can really mask some mistakes, and I think this is one of those instances where people will accept it and justify it because of the brand, which is fine. If people are okay with it, then I'm okay with it, but if you are unsure what to think of it, I'm just showing you in person how this works and how miserable your life could be if you use the Apple Pencil. So there it is, the new Apple Pencil first generation. I'm so sorry for ranting so much. It is just something I didn't think it would irritate me so much until I actually plugged this in and saw the actual contraption in person. And it just feels like you're ruining a product that is so good, is so close to being like a really, really good product, is just absolutely ruined by your own accessory. And that's just kind of a shame to me. As someone who's a tech enthusiast, and even admittedly a fan of Apple as a company, right, in terms of the products they release, why are you doing this to yourself and making a product purposefully bad? It's really sad, and I can't even imagine what the executives must think if they actually use this iPad for themselves. I doubt any of them actually use the 10th generation iPad, because who would subject themselves to this kind of insanity? That's going to be it. I'm going to end it there. Hopefully this gives you a good understanding of what to expect if you choose to use the first generation Apple Pencil with the new 10th generation iPad. The good news is you don't have to use this iPad. And if you've seen my other video, you know that I unboxed this Logitech crayon, and wow, this is actually quite an amazing stylus. So stay tuned for a video on that. But that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.